Gentleman, and the pottery that he gave birth to with David Gifford, who is here. He has written 7 books on Arkansas pottery. Good to see you again.
Same, Steve.
You've been collecting the pottery that Mr. Carnes gave birth to for years and years and years, and I don't know of anybody who can talk about this better than you can, so I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, man. I enjoyed it.
Let's start off with who Jack Carnes was. He was not from Arkansas.
No, Ohio. He lived near Zanesville, which is the city that is considered the cradle of the American art pottery industry. He knew about it, came to Arkansas for the oil business and Smackover in El Dorado in the early 1920s, found the clays and said, put one and one together, and
got some terrific pottery. So he didn't strike oil, but he struck clay. And,
yes.
and being from this area you mentioned is the cradle of pottery, he knew good clay when he saw it. So he takes
right.
this clay and decides, I'm going to bring in the craftsmen, and then he builds what?
An industry that lasted at least until the mid-'80s. And we're talking about an economic development, a boom that coincided with the oil industry, totally different industry, but he provided jobs, and it was a wonderful opportunity for Camden.
We're talking about Camden, Arkansas, where he builds Camark pottery.
Yes,
right?
he named it. Actually, it's the Camark Camden Art and Tile and the Pottery Company. And what he would do, he would take the first 3 letters from Camden, first 3 letters from Arkansas, and you have Camark.
And we've got some great examples of Camark pottery that you've got. We were talking a little bit before we came on the air. There's a lot of different kinds of Camark pottery. They were mass marketing a lot of stuff, but then they did more high-end things, more collectible things, I guess, in terms of what you're looking at.
Looking at the art movement, the American art pottery movement, the early emphasis, which kind of dies out in the mid to late 30s, is art pottery. Brought in talented artists and chemists who could, and clay workers who could make. These are Art Deco, the examples that I have right here, and they're from the mid-30s. But the early emphasis was art pottery. But as time changed, when gardening and the nurseries really got hot, well, he started making flower pots. I mean, the one thing about the industries is that if the guy down the street is making something that sounds like hotcakes, they're going to make it too. I mean, and the great one is the cat on the roof. He made a cat. He was in France, saw an example of it, bought it, brought it back to his mold maker and said, I want you to make this cat. Became one of its biggest sellers.
A cat on a roof.
You'll see them on trees. They hang. It just looks like a cat's on but one of his best sellers.
I think I can picture that. I think I've seen that.
You probably have.
Now, when he passed away, the company sort of ceased to exist in a lot of ways?
It went through hands. The Daniels family purchased it. They kept it going for a while. But after the war, you have the reconstruction of Japan and Italy, and you get this total influx of those imports.
Right.
Cheap. I mean, it's still going on today, and you get the influx of these cheap wares. Just like they couldn't.
As a collector, you like what you like. You collect what you like. But also there's an element of value to this stuff, and this stuff has become very valuable, hasn't it?
Yes, the early art pottery especially. If you're looking for an investment, anything that's art, anything, whether we're talking about paintings, pottery, anything, it's the art aspect and the quality that goes along with art. And so it's almost, to me, it has been better than the stock market.
But then you have to sell it, though. Is there a good market for it on eBay and places like that?
Yes. Record price for a piece of Camark pottery, I think, is $2,900.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And that is definitely. And I look at it as both. You know, the bottom line with collecting anything, you better love it.
Yeah.
Because if the stock market, takes the nosedive, it's worthless.
That's right.
So you better love it, and that's what I do. I only keep the pieces that I really like.
As I mentioned, he's written 7 books on Arkansas pottery. And where can we see Camark pottery if we don't buy it? Is there a place on it? Do you display it from time to time?
Twin City Antique Mall, Crystal Hill Antique Mall. You can go look at it. Any of the flea markets. Now, the early quality items are getting sucked into collections.
Private collections, right.
And it's hard to find, but every once in a while,
you got a shot maybe at a garage sale from now and then for finding some of that stuff too.
Internal hope. Internal. But you got to show up at 5:30, 6 o'clock on knock on people's door, you know, because they're the dealers are a little aggressive now.
Show me the pottery. David Gifford, thanks as always. Your book's available at the library? And
they are. Check them out.
All right, David Gifford, thank you for being here.
Anytime, Steve.
Coming up next, Into the Garden with Alan Smith. And let me remind you, as we send you to break, if you'd like to learn more about Mr. Carnes, any of the subjects we tackle here on This Week in Arkansas History, it's our joint project with the Encyclopedia of Arkansas History and Culture. Go to KATV.com. Take you right there. We're back after this.